Whoever you are, we welcome you. Wherever you come from, we welcome you. Whoever you love, we welcome you. Whoever you love, we welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I am Susan Rogers, and today helping me with the service is John Schutze, and our Ted Goldman is our musical director. We will be recording this service, and later it'll be posted up on our YouTube channel. But for privacy, we do pause the recording during our joys and concerns. So after the service, we're going to have our announcements after we extinguish the chalice. We welcome you here, no matter who you are, no matter where you come from, no matter what your background. We welcome you here to join us as we proclaim worth in our spiritual journeys. You are welcome to join us as we sing songs that uplift our very beings. You are welcome to join us in community as we learn, live, and love together. All are welcome as we worship that which gives us each meaning and value. No matter what you call this building, this hour, or this gathering of people, we worship as one body, illuminated by the light of the chalice. If this is your first service at MVUUC, please note that we are a diverse group with varying interests and beliefs, and our services are varied in format, tone, and topic. We encourage you to attend or view on the YouTube channel several of the services to gain a good understanding of our congregation. And if you would like to receive our weekly email newsletter, the best way to learn about upcoming events at MVUUC, please email us at news@mvuuc.org. So, please take a moment to think about all your friends at MVUUC, greet them here in person or with a comment in the chat box. Let us support one another. Go ahead and say hello to the person sitting next to you. So at the start of the service, we always light the chalice, and the chalice will be lit today by David Love. Please join me in reading these words by the Reverend Florence Caplow. They appear as a comment in the chat box and are in your order of service. We light this chalice in honor of the animal realm, furred and hooved, two-legged, four-legged, many-legged, fanged and clawed, gentle and fierce, wild and tame. May we remember that all animals are our relatives, worthy of our care and respect. Our opening words today are from a fellow UU named Matthew Johnson. For 5,000 years or more than 15,000 generations, human beings have been invoking spiritual power. My predecessors and yours have gathered together to make sense of their lives and their place in the cosmos. And they have spoken aloud and invited what they conceived as sacred and powerful to be with them. They called upon the spirits of the air and the earth, fire and water. They called the bear and the deer. They asked for the raven to protect them. They pleaded for the heroes of old to slay the monsters of their fears. They sang songs they learned from their grandparents and moved in the appointed ways or in ways that were new, but felt like the right thing to do. And they imputed power to these spirits and to the memories of those heroes. They called them God, and they were invoked. Vishnu and Kali, Elohim and Odin, and 100 million others. Each group of people everywhere. They gathered to make sense of their lives and to make sense of their place in the cosmos, and they called these spirits to be present with them. And so do we. So do we. We gather this morning to make sense of ourselves and this universe in which we live as best as we are able. We call ourselves to worship together, and we invoke the power and wonder of life itself, that to which all those spirits of animals and the memories of heroes pointed the way. We invoke that power, which is, we know, always around, always with us, but which we sometimes forget about. We forget that we are part of the whole creation. We forget that we are stardust. We forget that we are capable of miracles, first among them that we can love. We forget these things, so we invoke the power of existence so that we can remember, so we can lift our eyes and open our ears to the true and beautiful. For 5,000 years or more, we have done this. In many tongues, in many ways, we have done this. And so we continue that ancient tradition in our way and in our time. And so let us now worship together.
So this is a piece of music by a composer named Camille Saint-Saëns, and it's from a series of pieces. I'm getting some ring. I'll try to go closer so you can turn me down a little bit. So it's from a series of pieces that are all animal pieces. And this one, Aquarium, I think evokes the sound that you get a little bit when you're underwater. Everything seems to resonate and ring in a different way. So Aquarium, actually, fun fact about this piece, the composer was worried about publishing it because he thought it was too frivolous, that it was so catchy that he wouldn't be taken seriously as a composer. And it's sort of turned out to be true in the sense that this is one of the most played pieces by this composer, but I'm glad that he decided to include it in the set.
you, Ted. That was amazing. So, early in our marriage, my husband and I decided to get a dog. We both had busy lives and we were dedicated to our respective careers. Having children, we married late, so having children seemed like a kind of an overwhelming idea, but a dog seemed doable. Rick and I were both raised with dogs. My family pet was a beagle mix named Cinderella. We got her when I was 4, and she passed away when I was 16 years of age, so she was 12, but it was a stroke and it was sudden. And I remember being overwhelmed with grief when she died. I thought, this is just the worst, horrible feeling. How does one get over this? And my husband had a series of dogs when he was a kid, but they were country dogs, so from what I've heard, they did not last as long as 12 years as the city dog, anyway. My husband was set on getting a Scottish Terrier, and I was open to it. But we lived in a rented house. It had a nice backyard, yet we were concerned about having a pet in a house that was not owned by us. So we bought a house. We bought a house so that we could get a dog. We found a Scottish Terrier breeder in the north area of Ann Arbor, and we were told by her over the phone that we needed to fence in our backyard before she would even consider us for adoption. And so we promptly spent about $3,500 to put a fence in. The breeder came to our house to interview us, and when it was clear that we were prepared to dedicate our lives to this dog, we were invited to the breeder's house to see a litter of 4-week-old Scotty puppies. Oh my God, heaven. They were adorable, each one of them, and they each had a different personality. But we fell in love with the runt of the litter. And even now, I remember picking him up and looking into his little black furry face with these 2 little black button eyes and just feeling my heart squeeze with love. So over the next 2 weeks, because we couldn't get him until he was 6 weeks old, we spent a boatload of money on this dog. We bought gates for our kitchen and bowls and chews. We bought a crate for him to sleep in the house. We bought a crate for him to sleep when we traveled. We bought special tender tummy dog food and unscented dog shampoo that wouldn't bother his skin. And we even bought a car seat that was for dogs. So finally the time came for him to come to his new home, and the breeder came in and put him down on our kitchen floor. He was probably this big, and he looked so small, and he sat there, and he just had this stunned look on his face, looking around like, okay, where is this? Why has she brought me here? And then shortly thereafter, the breeder left for home. And so we were left with this delicate new charge. And we sat on the floor and we gave him space and we allowed him to explore the kitchen and explore us and the table. So one of the best parts of getting a pet is the fact that you get to name them. And we named him Bodhidharma Rogers, or Bodhi for short, which is spelled B-O-D-H-I. And of course, anytime we were at the vet, inevitably we would hear, Bodhi? Bodhi Rogers? But given that my husband taught religions, world religions, at the time, it was a very fitting name. So Bodhi is short for Bodhisattva, which is someone who either seeks awakening in Buddhism or is described as a person who is already awakened and has remained here on earth to help other people in their journey. And Dharma in Sanskrit means truth. So awakened truth. And I don't know if you guys can see this, but this was our guy, little Bodhi Dharma Rogers. He's handsome. So during the first few weeks of Bodhi's life, we hovered over him, anxious lest we do something that might accidentally cause his demise. We spread old newspapers on the floor of the kitchen so that he could have his accidents as a puppy, but we also took him outside frequently and praised him when he did his business outside. And it didn't take him long to figure out that he was supposed to go outside. And we stopped putting the newspapers down in the kitchen when we came home one day and found them shredded. We fed him on a set schedule, a little in the AM, a little in the PM, and we cuddled and played and watched him settle in as a member of our little family. It was a time of joy for all of us, and it felt like it held the same happy excitement as falling in love. And he was such a good dog and so smart. There was one incident, however, when he was young. One day we came home and discovered that the electrical cord to the lamp in the living room had been chewed apart, even though it was plugged in. So I took the lamp in and we got a new electrical cord put in and installed, and we sprayed that electrical cord with bitter apple spray. But Bodhi chewed on that cord too. So I had to take the lamp in a second time to get fixed, and the guy at the store thought this whole thing was hilarious. And this time we covered the cord with a very hard tubing that was called a cord protector, and we sprayed that with, doused it with bitter apple, and that fortunately stopped the chewing incident. Over time, we figured out ways to communicate to each other. For example, when he needed to go out, he would walk over to one of us, usually me, and he would put his paw on your arm, and then he would look deep in your eyes, like, understand what it is that I need right now. And we would have this list of questions. We would say, do you want to go out? And if that was his need, he would bark and wiggle and let us know that, yeah, that's what he needed. And so he'd run over to the back door and we would let him out. If he was hungry, he'd come over and put his paw and look deep in your eyes. And you would say, do you want to go out? And he'd tilt his head. And you'd go through your list and he'd tilt his head. And you want food? Oh, wiggle, bark, and then he would go over to his food bowl. So you knew you were right. Fortunately, his needs were simple, so the list was short. It was out, food, walk, play. And I'm not sure who was teaching who in those situations, but it amazes me that we did develop this interspecies language that facilitated our living arrangement. And apparently that's not surprising. Dogs are very intelligent, and I'm told, or I've read, that they're about as smart as a 3-year-old. I'm astounded now when I watch videos online of pet dogs that have been trained to use buttons that are on the floor, and they press buttons like walk, and it says walk, and then the dog looks at the owner. And it's simple Pavlovian conditioning, but they seem to have conversations with these buttons between the owner and the dog. And so if you have the opportunity to go to YouTube and watch a dog called Bunny the Talking Dog, it's amazing. It's pretty incredible stuff. So I know that there are cat people in the audience who are sitting here thinking, excuse me, my cat is smart too. And I would tell you, yes, I agree. I'm not surprised. The more I watch programs online and on television that are focused on animals, the more that I and others have come to realize that each animal has a personality and an inner life. They are sentient beings, all of them. Animals can experience emotions like joy and pleasure and pain and fear. I enjoy watching TV shows that focus on animals like The Incredible Dr. Pole, about a vet up in mid-Michigan. Dr. Jeff, the Rocky Mountain vet, and The Secret Life of the Zoo. In fact, if I'm ever in a coma, just turn the TV on Animal Planet and I'll be a happy camper. Our pets and animals in general have so much to teach us about companionship, friendship, patience, trust, and love. We grow emotionally and spiritually as a result of these interactions. The lessons we learn from animals make us more human. They are blessings, animal blessings. The most difficult part of loving an animal is that one day they leave us. Bodhi left us when he was 12, and our hearts were shattered. Pets cross the rainbow bridge which connects earth to heaven. And it is said that when a human companion dies, on their way to heaven, they cross a meadow. And the pet and all the other pets that this human knew on earth sees its owner and runs to greet him or her. And then reunited, the pets and the humans cross the rainbow bridge together into heaven, and they are never parted again. I would like to complete this reflection by remembering the pets that have left us and are waiting for us in the meadow. So let us take a moment to remember the animals we have loved and are no longer with us. So I'd like to do something a little different today with our joys and concerns. I'm inviting you to share joys and concerns about a pet, past or present, or an animal that you had an experience with, maybe something at the zoo. And of course, if something is happening in your life, please feel free to speak on that as well. So John, please stop recording at this time.
And can we switch on the projector so we've got some lyrics? Whoever's nearest the projector. I don't know if that's you, John, or someone who knows how to actually turn it on. So while we're waiting for the projector to warm up, we're going to do Octopus's Garden by the Beatles. And lyrics are up there. I had to open up 3 browser windows so that we could fit them in and maybe close the little announcement in the bottom. I don't know if other people need lyrics. People seem to remember lyrics really well. For me, it's the opposite. I can remember music, but when I hear Octopus's Garden, I hear 5, 5, 6, 5, 3, 3, 2, 3. I don't hear any of the words, so I don't know. I need to actually physically read the lyrics, otherwise it's like a little stream of numbers going by in my head. So probably you don't need to do that, but there they are if you want them. And so Octopus's Garden by the Beatles. Let's sing along. I'd like to be under the sea in an octopus's garden in the shade. He'd let us in, knows where we've been, in his octopus's garden in the shade. I'd ask my friends to come and see an octopus's garden with me. I'd like to be under the sea in an octopus's garden in the shade. We would be warm below the storm in our little hideaway beneath the waves, resting our head on the seabed in an octopus's garden near a cave. We would sing and we'd dance around, 'cause we know we can't be found. I'd like to be under the sea in an octopus's garden in the shade. One more. We would shout and swim about the coral that lies beneath the wave. Oh, what joy for every girl and boy, knowing they're happy and they're safe. We would be so happy, you and me, no one there to tell us what to do. I'd like to be under the sea in an octopus's garden with you. Yay!
Okay. So today's reflection and service reflects the seventh UU principle, which is respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. In his book, The Life of St. Francis, St. Bonaventure wrote that St. Francis considered the primordial source of all things, and he was filled with even more abundant piety, calling creatures, no matter how small, by the name brother or sister, because he knew that they had the same source as himself. So today's service is dedicated to the animals of the world, especially our pets, and the blessings that they bring to us. Now we pass our offertory basket. Visitors, we welcome you to donate cash or via our PayPal link using the QR code in the basket. Please note that what predominantly supports MVUUC are annual pledges by our members and our friends. The yellow cards located in the pockets on the back of the chairs are used to indicate this support and can be placed in the offertory basket. We encourage anyone that believes in our mission to consider becoming a member and to pledge support. Please email news@mvuuc.org if you are interested in learning about the benefits of becoming a member and how to pledge. Our closing words today are from UU Eric Williams. May the firmness of the earth be yours. May the flow of the water be yours. May the freedom of the air be yours. May the fierceness of the fire be yours. May all of the gifts of this life, the below and the above, be with you now and remain with you always. Please join me in the reading of the words for extinguishing our chalice, which can be found in your order of service and in the Zoom chat box. Blessed are the animals, blessed are the creatures who live with us and need our care. Blessed are the mammals and the reptiles and the birds who teach us we are not alone. Blessed are all living things from whom we learn to love. So now is the time for announcements. The first announcement is to our visitors. Please complete a blue information card, which is found in the pocket in the back of the chairs, so that we can learn about you and answer any questions you may have. And please leave the card on the front greeting table. Thank you. The second announcement concerns the existence of the Unitarian Universalist Animal Ministry. I did not know that this existed. And if you're interested in doing more about animals, learning more about animals, that can be explored at uuam.org. Does anybody have any other announcements? Yes, Winnie.
As some of you may know, if you've looked at the newsletter lately, we have hired a bookkeeper to help with some of the treasurer's duties, and as one thing leads to another, she needed some space in the office to do her work while she's here, and there were a lot of things filling that space. So that led to me starting to clear that out. And as a result of pulling all this stuff out of both the inner and the outer office in there, we have Lisa and Bob Price yesterday came out and helped a great deal to sort out what was still working, what wasn't working in terms of electronic equipment, and what things belong to whom. And so, at any rate, I just want to invite all of you to take a look at the table that's right on the other side of this back wall here. There are many items there that are free for you to take if you have any use for them, if you know someone who could use them, if you know any place that would recycle them, whatever. Please look through there. You'll find many interesting items. There's also some books, I guess, from the RE, and they have done some cleaning out too. So take a look out there before you leave.
First, I just wanted to thank Winnie for doing that. So thank you, Winnie. I really appreciate that. It's something that's been needed to be done. I just wanted to give you all a heads up that not next weekend, but the following weekend, so the first week of August, as well as that second weekend in August, we're not going to have services. It's our Hogwarts camp. So the 7th, we're going to be setting up Hogwarts. So if anybody's willing to come and help us set up, that would be awesome. We're going to be hanging lights and decorations, right, Steve? We're going to transform it into Hogwarts. So if you could come and help out on the 7th, that would be awesome. Then the following weekend is that Hogwarts camp. So we are having a potluck. If you wanted to come out for it, you're welcome to. But it's going to be, all the families and everything from Hogwarts camp. So, and if again, please keep getting the word out. I think we're doing pretty good now. We're up to, I think, 18 kids or 16 kids or something, so that's pretty good. So yeah.
Okay. After the closing song, we invite everyone in person to stay for the coffee hour, and for our friends attending via Zoom, we will be turning on your camera at this time. Our closing song is Go With the Song in Your Heart, played by Ted. The lyrics can be found on the inside of the front cover of the hymnal.
And I still need the lyrics for this, like I mentioned, because if I don't read the lyrics, then I just hear the numbers. So let's sing along.